It's a 2009 Cadillac CTS V. And man, this is a nice car, I'm not gonna lie. My first impressions, well, it's a really nice place to be. This is a really nice car. I mean, it rides really nice. Everything is great in here. It's not what I thought it would be before I rode in it. Before I drove this car, I kind of thought it would act like a big Corvette. So I kind of expected, engine rumbling and harsh suspension and everything like that goes along with Corvette driving. But honestly, it's nothing like that. I mean, it feels like a Cadillac, for lack of a better explanation. It really rides excellently. The magnetic shocks are bravo. I mean, these things are fantastic. This car rides so nice. It's barely harsher than a regular Cadillac. Honestly, I think the only added harshness you get is from the bigger wheels. Otherwise, I mean, this thing is a nicely controlled ride. And when you hit the sport button, sport mode, when you hit that button, all of a sudden the thing does ride more like a Corvette, and all of a sudden you get all the sporting capabilities of this car. Otherwise, everything else is normal Cadillac. I mean, it's got a great interior, and everything else is really good. It's got good visibility outward and everything. All right, so a lot of people probably think of Cadillac as like, well, I mean, your grandpa's car or whatever. But, Cadillac has done a lot in recent years to shed that sort of image. I mean, and this car is really the car that led the charge. I know they made a CTS V before this, but this is the one where they really got it right. I mean, this car, I mean, it is exactly what, a Cadillac CTS V should be. This one made the formula that they later made the other cars after. I mean, it's really spot on, and I think cars like this will go a long way towards getting rid of people's impression as Cadillac being the brand for old folks, All right, so now I'm going to talk about the ride and handling of this fantastic vehicle I'm in. I know other people have said it, but there is no car that rides and handles better than a Cadillac CTS V. I'm serious. You drive anything, I'd be shocked to believe there's something that rides and handles better than this. This car, the way it's set up now, is the car that actually set the record on the Nürburgring. You just go ahead and push this sport button, and all of a sudden the ride firms up a little bit and the car feels nice and taut. I'm gonna dip it into a corner right here, get a little piece of this action. Oh man, this car is, oh my goodness. That's outrageous. I mean, this thing is like super ridiculously good handling. I mean, this car will definitely, by all means, torch that C5 Corvette that we showed earlier on the track. I mean, you may expect it to accelerate faster with all the power this thing has, but the handling will shock you. I mean, this car, it's 4,200 pounds. It feels like, it feels like that Corvette. I mean, only taken up a notch. This thing is stupid awesome in the corners. I mean, just fantastic. So, I want to talk about the looks of this car for a second. This, I think for a four-door car, this is a really good-looking car. My personal taste is, I actually really like this car in a wagon because I think it makes a really good-looking wagon. I think it makes a really wild-looking coupe. I don't know if it's good-looking in a traditional sense, but there's definitely people that would prefer the coupe. All three of the cars, though, the performance is really similar. I mean, they don't change a lot in weight. I know they don't change wheelbase, whether you get a coupe or a wagon or the regular sedan like this. The owner of this car had said that she was only happy with the sedan version. As far as I'm concerned, they're all good looking cars. I think this car looks really sharp, if you ask me. Wait, hold on just a second. I'll be right back. Alright, so as far as like interior and comfort go in this car, I mean, it has a pretty nice looking set of gauges, which is something you can't say for the new Cadillac ATS. This thing looks pretty sharp all over. The general design of this dash, it's very pleasing to the eye. I mean, they did a great job with getting a look at the whole picture of this dash, the whole picture of this interior. It's really sharp looking. It has a lot of upper scale features like recessed lighting behind parts of the dash, and you know, it has things like heated seats, which in 2009 when this car was made was about what was the norm for a luxury car. It doesn't have cooled seats, but this car has Alcantara, and I don't know if this is supposed to be faux carbon fiber. Maybe it is. It's not very convincing if that's the case. It has a nav system that's pretty much it's just a stereo. You're not going to use a nav in this. Your phone's going to smoke the nav in this car. Everything else, though, the sound system is pretty decent. It has a fairly grown-up sound to it. I mean, it doesn't have a lot of bass. It doesn't have a lot of, you know, thump to it, but it does sound very clear. It's a Bose audio system. It has lots of speakers in it. It's got a nice little clock in the dash here. I mean, the seats are pretty comfortable, but they're definitely built for a bigger guy than me. They're built for, you know, most Americans, I guess. But yeah, it's really sharp. Everything is pretty nice. Maybe the dash or whatever could be a little nicer material for a Cadillac. I think it's pretty good. I mean, this car is an automatic car, so you have the little paddle button shifts. A little odd note about this car is it does have a proximity key, so it starts and you leave that fob in your pocket, but there's a little knob you turn right here. It looks like a key, but there's no key in there. Earlier today, I went to get out of the car, and when I grabbed that knob, I tried to pull the key out, but there's no key. So, yeah, other than that, I mean, a little bit of oddities here and there, but this is a pretty nice car. I mean, it's really nice to be in. Most of the luxury features that should be here are here. So, I don't think anybody will be disappointed with the luxury, because that's not generally, you know, exactly what you buy a CTS V for. You buy it because, you know, you ride luxury and then you smoke a sports car with it. Alright, so as I was saying, a lot of people will like the looks of this thing, although, like I said, there is a little bit of Cadillac stigma. They're a little bit cheaper than, say, a BMW, and maybe not in V trim, but Cadillac has always been just a bit cheaper than some of the German rivals, and I think a lot of people get too hung up on whether or not this brand has the same cachet as a BMW or a Mercedes, and maybe it doesn't, but it has a lot more power. So if I get my pick, I'll pick this over a comparative BMW 5 Series any day. The 5 Series at this time came with a 500 horsepower V12. We've got 56 more horsepower in a lighter weight chassis, and this thing outhandles that BMW hands down. Alright, so now let's talk about performance. That's crazy. Oh my gosh, that's a lot. Wow. So this car has 556 horsepower, 551 foot-pounds of torque, and it is fast. I don't know if you can tell from the camera there, I am flopping around in the seat a little bit. It's kind of made for people a little bit bigger than me. But yeah, this thing is fast. I mean, it's a good party trick. If you throw some people in the back seat and you drive around normally, most of them have no clue. They're like, oh, it's Cadillac, it's a pretty nice car, but all of a sudden you pin the gas and woo, hear that supercharger whine and it will pin you back. I'm telling you. I mean, this thing is quick. Like I said, this is the exact configuration. The 6-speed auto, the sedan version, this is the version that went around the Nürburgring the quickest. I'm not saying that it's the quickest version of the car, but the engineers said that they were most familiar with the shift points and whatnot when they were running this car around the Nürburgring. So this is the setup that they used when they set that record back in 2008 or 2009. I'm not sure. Either way, I mean, this is a very quick car. It handles really good, and it's definitely something you can shock your passengers with when they're unsuspecting of what a V car really is. Alright, so I know a lot of our viewers probably aren't fans of the automatic transmissions, but I've noticed some things that this transmission does while I've been driving this car up and down this road. For one, if you paddle shift, throw it into manual mode and paddle shift down through the gears, it will blip throttle in between gears. So that makes for a pretty smooth shift, downshift. There we are in second. But it is slow to react when you're using the paddles. The good thing though is I was just driving around talking to you and leaving it in manual, and I noticed that if I'm in the gas coming around a corner, it will stay in that gear and hold that gear as I'm coming through the corner and out of the corner. So bravo for GM. That's a pretty good shift logic on their part. I'm kind of impressed by that. You might not be giving up as much when getting this transmission other than just the involvement portion. Okay, so after I've been driving this car for a while, sort of come to a conclusion. We don't have a lot of gripes, you know, and me and Nick have both tested this car out for a little bit now, and we don't have a lot to complain about. I mean, from a performance standpoint, I mean, it's awesome, all right? From a ride and comfort standpoint, it's pretty awesome. You could gripe about little things about the infotainment system being outdated and not that great. There's a few things you'd gripe about. My buddy, Nick, he doesn't like that clock. He says the clock looks a little chintzy in the dash. Having said that, I mean, it's a pretty nice car. I think if you have the money to buy something like, it's, say 35 grand-ish, I mean, it's not a bad idea to look into a car like this. I mean, maybe you were looking at a Corvette. I would strongly suggest taking a look at this car, because this car is a lot like having your cake and eating it too. So I don't really see any downsides. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Go ahead, don't forget to like, share, subscribe. Check us out on Facebook, Instagram, or any one of those other social media avenues. We don't have a Twitter up yet, but if we catch some followers on Facebook, maybe we'll put that up too. Nice seeing you. Later.
With the 6.2-liter LSA V8 producing 551 foot-pounds of torque and 556 horsepower, this baby makes it down the track at a fast 12 seconds flat at 118 miles an hour, pulling a 3.9 second acceleration 0 to 60. The Cadillac CTS V uses SLA suspension connected to magneto-rheological shocks for a smooth, compliant ride without sacrificing any of the handling. And with Brembo 6-piston calipers up front and 4 pistons in back, this isn't your grandpa's Cadillac or land yacht anymore. This baby can go toe-to-toe with the Germans all day long, smack the sauerkraut sandwich out of his hand, and leave him with a black eye. And with that being said, I've decided the CTS V is an insanely capable machine with every penny. But I strongly recommend buying the best car ever made, the C5 Corvette. Don't even bother looking into it.